Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This presentation is in relation to the parent consultation that we have been doing with parents in relation to some of the changes that we're proposing to consider for next year. So alhamdulillah, I'd like to thank all the parents that have been able to attend in person. I'm putting this presentation together for, in particular, for the benefit of parents who weren't able to attend. We had about more than 100 parents attend. We're very grateful for that. We had some interesting dialogue, and we noted your feedback, your suggestions, your concerns. And I recognise that we're living in a time-poor society, and it's difficult for everyone to attend. So I'm putting this presentation together so you can make you can understand the reasons and make informed choices when you complete the survey, which I'll talk about more later. So before I get into the details of the proposals, I'd actually like to just reflect on the college. The college was established in 2009. We started with about 80 students, and at that time 4 students lived in Epping. Today, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've grown to a community of 943 students. We have about 130 staff and 504 families. So that's about an average of 1.9 students per family. And of those 943 students, 391 live in the Epping and Woolert area. So alhamdulillah, we've become more of a local community. I'm expecting that next year about half the students will be in Epping and Woolert. Roxburgh Park, Craigieburn and that area still remains a significant catchment with about over 130 students who live in that area. When we started in 2009, Meadow Heights, Broadmeadows and that Roxburgh Park area was our main catchment. We also had students from Heidelberg West, and we actually didn't have many students from around Epping, but slowly the community has started to come closer to the school. So the 2 proposals that we have for consultation, as you would no doubt be aware, are in relation to changes, proposed changes to the school day and proposed changes to the school year. So the proposal to the school day is very much focused around an earlier start and an early finish. Now, I'm not sure how many of you would be aware, but when the school was established in 2009, the school actually started at 7:30 and we finished at 1:15. And this timetable actually ran for 4 years. I think it was in 2012 we extended the time to 1:45 because we wanted our secondary students to join the Dhuhr Salah. When we started, we were more of a primary school, but over time we also added secondary, so we wanted our secondary students to attend Salah as part of the school day. So we learnt many lessons from that arrangement, which is why this proposal is being put to you now. So you might ask, and quite rightly so, as to what is the reason to go ahead with this change. So one of the main reasons is the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has made a dua for this ummah. Allahumma barik li ummati fi bukuriha. Ya Allah, bless my ummah in the early part of the day. And I'm sure we also experience the barakah if we wake up early on a Saturday, and after Fajr, alhamdulillah, in Australia the shops open early. We can go do our grocery shopping, we can do our fruit and veg shopping, we can go and buy our meat and whatever else we need to buy, and by 8 o'clock in the morning we can be home. So much barakah in the day, and the whole day is ahead of us. On the other hand, if a person was to wake up at 11 and be lazy, battle the traffic, battle the crowds, it's almost late afternoon and evening, a person's coming home, and there's that sense that, I haven't really done very much today. And we see that again and again. In fact, if we look at some of the qualities of the people that have been noted to be highly successful in the world in relation to their achievements, in relation to the successes that they've had, and these are some of the world's richest people. The researchers have looked at what are their qualities, what have made them highly successful, and one of those qualities is that they were early risers. Like in this hadith, Sakhr was a trader, and he started his trade early in the day, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him a wealthy person. So explain this concept of barakah. There's a bowl of milk here, and the reason why there's a picture of this bowl of milk, there's a very beautiful story about barakah and a bowl of milk. This story was about a Sahabi called Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, who would often be starved. He would live in the back of the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on a platform called Sufa, and other people who were basically homeless at that time, they would also live there, and they would be the guests of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he would look for people sometimes to talk to, so maybe just in conversation they might invite him home for food. He was starving. He himself says that I used to have fits, I used to faint. People thought I was sick or crazy, but I was not any of these things. I was just starving. I was just hungry. So the Prophet ﷺ saw him in this state, and he told him to come over. And he came over, and he said, look, I've received a bowl of milk as a gift. Very strange in this day and age for us to consider how someone would receive a bowl of milk as a gift, but he'd received a bowl of milk as a gift. And he told Abu Hurairah to call the people of Sufa, the people who lived in the masjid at that time. And there was about 70 people who were there. Abu Hurairah understands that there's only one bowl of milk and there's 70 people, and what's going to be left for me? But he calls them. And surely the Prophet ﷺ says, serve them. So he started to serve these people. One by one, all 70 or so of them were served. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, look, there's only the two of us that are left now. And he told Abu Hurairah to drink, and he drank. He told him to drink some more, told him to drink some more. And a point came where Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I can't drink anymore. Then the Prophet ﷺ took the bowl and drank the milk, and it finished. So this is a story of barakah. It's also a story of obedience. And we learn from this, we have bowls as people, we're all beggars in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone's bowl is in the shape of being an engineer. Someone's bowl is in the shape of, being a labourer. Someone's bowl is in the shape of being an accountant. We all have different shape bowls that we present in front of Allah. And there's different sized bowls as well. Some people have very big bowls. I was reading an article in the paper recently about a movie star who'd earned more than $800 million. He's now suing his management company because, he thinks that they've wasted his money. He doesn't know where the money's gone. The management company is blaming him, saying, you're the one who squandered your money, and he's blaming the management company that you didn't look after my money. I think if the whole community of Siraat put together was to work a number of lifetimes, I don't know if we would together be able to earn more than $800 million. Huge bowl, but takes from it and it's gone. On the other hand, I'm sure we have many families who have very small bowls. They do it tough, they work hard. MashaAllah, maybe they have a number of children and they keep taking from their little bowl and it keeps going. Maybe, they're paying some sadaqah, they're helping in building a masjid, they're doing so much, they're educating their children, they're benefiting society. Alhamdulillah, their bowl keeps going. So this is a beautiful story of barakah. In addition, we feel that a earlier finish to the day will allow us opportunities in the afternoon. For example, we would have opportunities to have Islamic programs in the afternoon. We are looking at starting a maktab, an afternoon Quran school from about September, inshallah. Now that timing will start at 5:30. But just imagine if somebody wants to study advanced ilm or advanced Arabic, or maybe becoming an RTO, offering students courses in which they can get practical skills. We spent millions of dollars on this wonderful Teams building that we have, how we can use these facilities. Also strategically, it's not easy to set up a school such as Siraat. What about the possibility of an afternoon school in the future? Some countries do that. From about 2 o'clock, you can start small, but another group of students can use these facilities as well. Maybe some sporting programs. So if we have a look, one of our volunteers here from Singapore, he mentioned to me that he used to finish school about 1 o'clock, went to woodworking classes and became like a craftsman, learned how to make beautiful things with wood. So we feel that by having an earlier finish to the day, it really opens up the afternoon for opportunities. And in addition to that, we're looking at opportunities as to how families and individuals can spend more time together. If we have a look, at the moment it's a challenge. There are challenges in families spending time together. I remember when we started at 7:30 and finished at 1:15, one of the benefits that families used to tell us is that they had more time to spend with their children. Some parents have mentioned, in conversations and through the and through the face-to-face parent sessions, that we just want that you keep our children with you as long as possible. We just want them to be at school as long as possible. Some parents have also mentioned that they're just going to come home and they're just going to be on the iPad and devices all day. So I think that these are all challenges that we face, but I think we all know the benefit of having that time with our children. And in addition to that, it's some work-life balance, especially for our staff, that's being considered as well. So there are other benefits as well. There are some of the strategic reasons. Some people have mentioned concerns around, well, I'm going to have to leave home very early. What about the bus? And these are all valid concerns. But we did find that in 7:30 start, that people were able to get to the site a lot quicker. Some people who live a bit further have actually mentioned that, I live far away, it's going to take me more time. And at that time, we actually had quite a few students coming from Heidelberg West, Roxburgh Park, Craigieburn, Broadmeadows, Meadow Heights. Generally, people found that coming early was very beneficial in relation to the traffic, and then leaving at the end of the day was actually very beneficial in relation to the traffic as well. Our management team does like this early start and early finish, and a big drive for that is that we find that the learning that occurs in the periods after lunch, which is a significant chunk of learning, we find that that's quite compromised. There's that post-lunch slump, and I'm sure we all experience it as well, where we've had food, we're relaxed. It's the more relaxed part of the day, and learning is not at the same intensity. And the research also shows that students learn better in the early part of the day. And another few benefits would also be that we would have more consistent time throughout the week. It's unlikely that we will need an early finish like we have on Fridays now. And also this would be a very consistent timetable during the month of Ramadan. We wouldn't need to shorten the day. And Ramadan is falling right in the middle of term 2, which is an important term. It's an important term for our learning, our secondary students, our VCE students, and maintaining the integrity of learning time is important as well. A number of students have mentioned to me, a number of parents have mentioned to me, we're in Australian school, how can we have this time? And at the same time, parents also mention, we want to change time in Ramadan and shorten the day. So we feel that having a consistent time in Ramadan would also prepare us for Australian society in a good way as well. We understand that this would impact families where we're all habits of routine. We have structured our life around our work routines, around dropping our children off, and this would be a disturbance for a number of families. And we understand that one of the biggest challenges for working parents, how do I come back early to pick up my students? And if I was to place them in childcare, well, what about the extra cost? We're doing this work and we're going to be paying extra fees. So we understand that that's a very valid concern. There's also logistics around bus and excursion. We're not as concerned about that. We still have some excursions. In fact, we found the excursions worked well. So let's say that the students get to school, they get their roll marked. By the time we get classes together and students get on the bus, it's close to 9 o'clock. Then there's the traffic, and students will get to the venue 10, 10:30, sometimes 11 o'clock. Whereas when we started at 7:30, we were at the venue at 9 o'clock, and most venues open at 9 o'clock. So we were able to get back on time. And just like now, there may be some occasions where excursions and inter-school sports and outings are delayed, and they do come back after hours. And we found that the bus operation generally worked well as well. Like I said, we did run this timetable for 4 years, and we have experience with it in relation to that. We understand that some teenagers, we've been told by parents that some of the teenagers like to get back to bed in the morning, and these are some of the main disadvantages, some of the main concerns that have been raised. So there are a number of options that we're looking at. The whole proposal started with option A, and option A was based on a 7:30 start, a 2:15 finish, and prayers at 1:45, with prayers at the end of the day. This would give the opportunity for fathers and parents to also come and pray with their children. We have a wonderful Lord program with a beautiful story time, and I feel that would be a very beneficial arrangement for those who could come. We've tried to maintain the integrity of learning time across all the different options. Generally, we've tried to shorten the school day. There's been concerns about the school days quite long, so we've tried to shorten the school day. So there's about a 35-minute reduction in the school day. And the efficiency of this timetable is actually based on having one break instead of two. So there's a 2-hour, 40-minute teaching block, there's a 45-minute break, and a 2-hour teaching block. And time for solar and home group has been factored in. There are different options. There's, this is about having a look at how we can improve our day for learning. So there's even an option with an 8:20 start like we have now, and there's different options that are there, and you're able to respond in your survey. We'll put a survey together, and I'll explain that in the next steps. So you're welcome to spend more time on this slide and pause the video at your leisure. The second proposal is in relation to the school year. So what we're looking at in terms of the school year is an earlier start and an earlier finish. So very much what we're looking at is that, let's say we have 13-week holidays throughout the year, for example. How do we want to carve up these holidays? What suits our community? So we know that a lot of people would like to have time off in Ramadan. So it's a trade-off. How do we trade off our holidays between the start of the year, the end of the terms, and Ramadan and the end of the year? So some of the benefits of starting early are that we can finish early. We find that especially around mid-November, when exams finish, teachers get busy in marking exams, and generally there's this, we finish the year, and there's sort of wind down that occurs. And we recognise that some wind down is needed in relation to finish the year in a happy, positive way, but sometimes that wind down can become quite lengthy. And especially for our VCE students, if we can have days at the start of the year where we can transfer learning time, it will be very, very beneficial to them. So this is about realigning the year in relation to more beneficial learning. So some of the challenges we have is getting campsites, and if we were to start early, over the last few years we've been sending our camps early in the year, or even if we were to have a camp at the end of the year when other schools are having exams, it would, it's the summer months, it's a nice time, we would have more options in relation to campsites. If we were to look at the option which would totally realign the year, yes, there would be cheap airfares and accommodations if our calendars don't align, and there's possibilities if we have a longer break at the end of the year. So basically, once again, we understand that it's not going to suit all families, especially families with children in other schools. A few other concerns, very valid concerns, have been raised, especially in relation to the holiday programs that, you know, the local councils, the City of Melbourne, there's a lot of holiday programs they run for school children. Some staff and students have mentioned that they have colleagues at other schools. They like to collaborate with them. Some staff have mentioned that, you know, the first week is just where they like that downtime, and the second week is when they can sort of get back into planning. So, you know, these are some of the suggestions and concerns that have come through. On the other hand, some people really like the idea of having a more squashed year and having time off in Ramadan. So like I said, it's a trade-off. You know, so the option of an early start, having 1 week break between the terms. You know, if we were to, for example, reduce term breaks to 1 week, we can have 2 weeks off in Ramadan. Generally, my feedback from students in the assemblies was that, you know, they actually value their term breaks more than the time at the end of Ramadan. So that's the trade-off. How much time do we have off at the end of the term? Is it 1 week or 2 weeks? If we have shorter term breaks, we can have some time off in Ramadan. Or if we have shorter term breaks, we can actually finish early at the end of the year. So a combination is, if we're starting early and we have shorter term breaks, we can have time off in Ramadan and finish early as well. And that's represented by a 3-term model. So when I went to school, and maybe when a lot of you went to school as well, we actually had 3 terms. So even though this model that I'm mentioning, the 3-term model, it's actually has 2 weeks off in term 2 for Ramadan. So it has 1 term, 1 week break, then it has about 4 or 5 weeks of learning, then 2 weeks break in Ramadan, then a week at the end of term 2, and then the main holidays at the end of term 3. The 4-term model actually has 1 week term break between each of the terms, but no time off in Ramadan, or very limited time off in Ramadan. But both of these models have a longer break at the end of the year. It is mentioned as 8 weeks, but it actually comes out to be more like 9 weeks, so it's a significant break. Currently, our number of learning days this year has been quite light. So whatever, you know, that's also due to some of the holiday arrangements that's occurred with the Queen's birthday and the Eid holidays and the way they've fallen this year. So either way, we're looking at increasing the number of learning days for next year. And for reference, just from their website, I put down some of the details from other schools like Gillam College and state schools. So you'll be, as part of the, as part of this package that I'm sending you, which includes this video, there will be a survey link, and in addition to the survey link, there will be a document which actually shows a calendar of how the 3-term and the 4-term model will work. So during the presentations, I asked parents their likes, their concerns, their suggestions, and I thank you. I thank those parents that came and shared their likes, concerns, and suggestions. I shared some of them with you in this video. In relation to next steps, the next steps are that as part of the package of receiving this video, there's a survey link. So this is a genuine consultation. It's a wide-ranging consultation. The survey has gone out to staff. We're looking at sending a survey to students as well. There's a survey to parents. So we ask you to carefully consider, your responses. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. We understand that this is very much a love or hate issue, and we ask. We want to see what's the appetite there in the Al Siraat community for these changes that we've mentioned. Following the responses from the survey, we will share the results, and then we'll be looking at our decision-making process, and we'll be providing more detail to you in relation to that. So I thank you for your time in this presentation, and if you do want any further information, then you can send an email to info@alsiraat, or you can drop into the school, and I'm happy to talk with you and have a conversation with you in relation to this. But we very much look forward to receiving your survey responses. Jazakallah khair for watching. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.